Carl Davidson from PDA. What?
Beaver County, Pennsylvania, from the 4th Congressional District of Pennsylvania, Progressive Democrats of America, and we're situated mainly in Beaver County, which is right on the border, western border with Ohio and West Virginia right next to us. We used to have a lot of steel mills around. Now we got a lot of empty steel mills.
Yeah.
A lot of unemployment. It's a very blue-collar area, but we have a very active PDA chapter.
Okay. Now, PDA hasn't, as far as I can tell, has not been that active in a real blue-collar area. So what do you think is the reason for your success, your fact that you come from that area, I know?
Well, I lived there, but the chapter started before me. They started off as a Kucinich campaign.
Mm-hmm.
They helped put Dennis on the ballot in Pennsylvania. And after the Kucinich campaign, they evolved into Progressive Democrats of America because they wanted to make it more permanent and not just focused around Dennis. We went door to door, actually, to decide what the main concern was. That we found the biggest concern was health care. Because demographically speaking, we have a lot of retired workers in our area, and that's a big concern on their mind. And also the war. So health care, not warfare, was a natural for us. So that's what we built the PDA chapter around, mainly around the healthcare, not warfare campaign.
What's your relationship with the Democratic Party in the area?
We have a interesting relationship with them, actually. The Democratic Party in our area is pretty much of a shell. It's mainly lawyers and media people around a few incumbents, and it didn't used to be that way. Back in the 50s, it was a mass organization. It had a lot of workers in it. But now almost all of that is gone. Our public meetings are actually bigger than the regular Democrats.
Wow.
So they invite us to some of their meetings sometimes. Sometimes they'll come to joint meetings on different issues. Our county commissioners and some of our elected officials will come to our anti-war rallies, and they'll speak and give anti-war speeches. So we work with them, and we're a source of good ideas for them. And we usually try to pick the most progressive of them and the most labor-oriented of them, and we'll try to get them elected. Our congressman is a Blue Dog, so we're not very happy with him at all. He joined Blue Dog Caucus recently. And he's got a lot of the labor people who initially supported him very upset.
Well, now, I don't know if you heard Steve Cobble's talk last night, but he did say that in 2010, the party is vulnerable, mainly because the Blue Dogs are vulnerable. He thought that the Progressive Caucus is in very little danger of losing more than 1 or 2 seats, but that the Blue Dog Caucus could get, largely wiped out.
I think that's true everywhere except where we are. I think part of the reason is the Republicans put up a very bad candidate against our Blue Dogs. So I think he'll probably get around 60% of the vote.
Okay.
So that's why I'm not worried about it. It's not going to be a cliffhanger, so I'm not worried too much about being in opposition to him.
Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to, if somebody says, well, how should we vote? Should we vote for these Democrats like that, or should we let them go down and support independents, support Green Party? How do we get some leverage with the Democratic Party to not run people like this?
Here's what I tell people. I said, for 2010, vote to defeat any Tea Party person, work to defeat any Republican, work to defeat the Blue Dogs, try to elect Progressive Democrats, and if it makes sense, try to elect a Green. But do them in that order. In other words, don't do it in such a way that you're going to strengthen the right instead of the left.
Okay, so that's well taken. Well, what do you think, given the fact that since 2008, really, the Democratic Party has kind of shut out the progressive movement, not just PDA, of course, but we've seen our Congressional Progressive Caucus be somewhat ineffective and be shut out of most of what sounds like the real deliberations. So what advice, what are you thinking about in terms of the progressive movement and PDA and other groups like that?
I think it's all a question of power. What we've seen since the 2008 election is that the finance capital has really asserted itself across the board as to what it will put up with and what it won't. And they've really asserted itself from within the Obama administration all across the board, Republican Party, Democratic Party, trying to gut every decent piece of progressive legislation anywhere. So it's really a question of not so much whether the people at the top are going to do the right thing, but whether we have the strength at the bottom. I'm always been of the view that you never get, or you rarely get at the top what you haven't already organized and won at the bottom. So the ball's really in our court. We have to build the strength.
Okay.
We have, say, in our PDA chapter now, we have maybe 400 people on our list, maybe 200 people come to our biggest meeting. We need to quadruple that. Then we'll have some serious clout. Then we can start, when we can take a majority of the political seats in our congressional district or in our state, then when we have that kind of strength, then we can go up against finance capital and win. But it's really a question of a war of position, building strength at the base, and gradually doing it step by step. That doesn't mean we shouldn't put a lot of street heat on people to do the right thing anyway. I mean, we're out there in front of our Blue Dog's office doing our brown bag lunch. We were just out there the other day telling him no cuts on Social Security if he wants the money, end the wars and bring the troops home. And not that we think he's going to do it, but it's good. Some fights are good to wage just because they're the right thing to do. But you really have to have your eye on building your strength at the base. If you don't have that muscle, no matter how correct your ideas are, you're not going to see them, or you'll rarely get them see them get through at the top.
Okay. And can you give us some tips on building that strength at the base? I mean, we all want to know how to do that, but I think a lot of us don't really know where to begin.
The first thing you have to do is talk to people. The second thing you have to do is talk to people you don't usually talk to. Get outside your comfort zone. One of the best things for me during the Obama campaign is I've worked with the union committees there. We decided to go stand on the doorstep in pairs to every union household in the state of Pennsylvania. And if we had to go back up in hollows and knock on people's trailer doors and whatnot, we went and talked to everybody. We ran into all kinds of people. We ran into Tea Party types. We ran into out-and-out racists. I got denounced as a race traitor. One of the first things I did. But anyway, you have to get outside your comfort zone and talk to people, because really, all the technical stuff, the websites and email, that's all great. People who know me from Chicago know that I've been a computer geek for a long time.
Yeah.
But you still have to talk to people face to face. And the rest of the stuff just helps you do that.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. What would you like to say to your friends in the peace movement back in Chicago? We miss you.
Keep on keeping on. I miss all my friends. Sometimes I say about the city of Chicago, it was a great teacher for me. I learned hardball politics there. I learned the importance of what every precinct captain knows. I give a talk about that, how all of the PDA organizers have to know what a Chicago precinct captain knows. He has to know everybody's birthday, who's registered to vote, who's not. And once they start knowing that about all their neighbors, they're on their way to being a good organizer.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Except with better political views.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Carl.
Right.
We really appreciate it.